Well, the first thing that you ask is, the thing that I asked the players after the last scrimmage and challenged them to do is, how much will you improve from the last scrimmage to this scrimmage? So that's going to happen by what you invest, what you commit to doing, every day in practice, so you're focused on what's happening right now so that you can make that improvement. So I would say we had a significant number of guys that, made strides. We're better in this game, a lot less anxiety, especially for the young players, but not where we want to be. I think we're still not tackling well on defense, too many missed tackles, too many guys breaking down, not aggressive enough, not enough cleanup, give up a few too many big plays. On offense, last week we were really good in terms of turnovers and taking care of the ball. Today we had the ball on the ground more than we'd like. Threw a couple picks, which we got to not do, so we got to do a better job of taking care of the ball. So, when you're playing against each other, if this guy's doing good, then that guy playing against him who's still on your team may not be doing so good. So it really is hard to evaluate the overall consistency of performance until you watch the film. The scrimmage format today was a little bit different. We played the first, I think, like 55 or 56 plays exactly like a game. Had the headsets, had the coaches in the box, it's going to be in the box, had the coaches on the sidelines, it's going to be on the sidelines. Use the communication for offense, defense, special teams. So we got, when I say 60 plays, I'm talking about total. So a little over 25 for both first teams. First team played against second team offense. First team defense played against second team offense. First team offense played against second team defense. And then we did some situational stuff, which is good on good, which I think is a little more challenging to the players, especially when you have a significant number of players that we either held out of the scrimmage or were injured and didn't want to take a risk. So, for example, I think 4 guys in the front 7 on defense didn't scrimmage today that we would consider starters. And then we limited the reps of some other guys. So the first team becomes half the second team. The second team becomes half the third team. So it's great for the experience of the players and their development. The younger guys, to be able to get in those situations, have to be responsible, accountable to do their job. But it's also not totally realistic to see how that unit is really developing. Same thing in the offensive line. We had a couple guys out today in the offensive line. Some of them we held out. We held out Miller Forstall. He's been practicing. We held out Terrell Lewis. He's been practicing. We started a freshman linebacker out there today in Josh McMillan's place. So it's a work in progress. So our focus is still on improvement. We still have several practices where we can make improvement before we start preparation on the Duke game, the first game of the year, which is really important. So the schedule is we're giving the players tomorrow off completely, and then we will practice Monday night, and then we'll be back on one-a-days with, school starting on Wednesday. We're just one practice every afternoon, and we won't be able to flip the schedule around so we can practice some at night and try to stay out of the heat. Jerome Ford is probably the only guy that got any kind of injury today that I would say he may be out for a week. He got an ankle sprain. We don't think it's all that bad, but Doc thinks it'll be a week. Did an MRI on it and thinks he's okay. We think DJ Dale will be back to practice. He's already practiced some. We didn't let him scrimmage today. LeBrian Ray has already practiced. We didn't let him scrimmage today. Miller Forstall has been practicing. We didn't let him scrimmage today. So, Matt Womack has been practicing. We didn't let him scrimmage today. So we just, trying to get our team, sort of healthy. I think now with school starting, maybe we'll be able to get some of these guys back. And I think everybody's got to use this time we have off tomorrow and pretty light on Monday to be able to get some recovery going for themselves.
There's injury concerns in preseason for NFL with preseason games, and there have been injuries here in the past with scrimmages. Do you change the format of anything with scrimmages to avoid exposures like that for injuries?
I don't understand your question.
limit any of the reps? Do you
Well,
limit
I
scrimmage?
just told you half a dozen guys we didn't scrimmage today. We limited other guys' reps. Yes, we do. But the question to me is they practice a lot less in the NFL than they used to, and they have just as many or more injuries. So how relative is all that? And if you're going to play football, you need to practice football a certain way so that you don't get injured. And player safety is the number one thing that we're always concerned about in terms of the way we practice, the things that we do with our players. That's number one. And I don't think football is a dangerous game, but you have to do it correctly. You have to play safely. You got to keep your face up. You can't put your head down. That's going to enhance, head injuries. Wearing the right kind of shoes can help foot and ankle injuries. Getting the proper rest. I mean, there's a 7-year study in the NFL on guys that sleep 8 hours during the season have a 30% less chance of getting injured than guys that don't. So pretty significant, some of these things, in terms of how people need to take care of themselves so that they can stay on the field and avoid injury.
Coach, about the quarterbacks, how did Tua perform today? And then behind him, is there starting to be separation? You mentioned Mac last week, and is there continuing to be separation between Mac and the other guys at that position?
Well, Mac is way ahead of the other guys. I mean, he's been here in the program for a couple of years. He knows the offense. He's really smart. He makes good decisions for the most part. The big thing we've been trying to get him to do is, when he doesn't make a good play, don't hang on to it. Go to the next play. And he's done a much better job of that. And he's been very productive in both scrimmages that we've had. I mean, he really has. So he got some opportunities with the first team today. We gave him some opportunities last week with the first team. We're happy with Tua's performance to this point. And, I think offensively we're good. We got more guys that have more experience. And the only position that we don't have a lot of experience as is really tight end. Every other position that you point to, there's guys that have a significant amount of playing time, whether they were starters or not. And we have a little bit more age, a little bit more maturity. Defense, we got a lot more younger guys that have to grow up and learn how to play and, understand that we have 10 guys do what they're supposed to do. One guy doesn't, the other team makes a play. Somebody doesn't get covered, somebody's not in the right gap, whatever it is. So if you're going to play together on defense, team defense is really important to being successful. And I think that we like these guys, and I think they're going to develop and be able to contribute to our team, and I think it's going to be really important to the success of our team that they do that.
You said that you started a freshman at inside backer today. What did you say of him and the other young guys at that position?
He did a good job. I like to watch the film. He's a football player. It's important to him. He runs and hits people. Is he where he needs to be in terms of what to do, how to do it, why it's important to do it that way? But when we've had guys like this in the past, whether it was C.J. Mosley playing, was a freshman, Hightower playing, was a freshman, Rolando McClain playing, was a freshman, we just put them in there and play them. And they got to get some on-the-job training. And there's still competition at that position, but, he's a guy that has made plays throughout fall camp so far that we're hopeful we'll be able to continue to improve and develop and play like a starter.
What have you seen out of the defense's ability to get after the quarterback leading up to today and then especially today in a more game-like situation?
Well, the guys that can get after the quarterback, a lot of them didn't play today. 33's been a good pass rusher, 24's been a good pass rusher, 99's developed into a much better inside pass rusher. We want LeBron Ray to develop as an inside pass rusher. He hasn't been out there enough to really be able to evaluate that circumstance. Chris Allen can rush a little bit off the edge. I think King, as a freshman, has some ability to rush. So we've got some guys that certainly need to develop, but I think they have, some opportunity to be able to do that.
I know you mentioned that Miller was held out, but what did you see from the rest of the tight ends during the scrimmage?
Some good, some bad. I don't think that we're where we need to be at that position, but those guys are all working hard. It's important to them. They're making progress. They're all improving, and that's all we can ask for. And what I tell players all the time: give us 100% of what you got. Some people think if they're not 100%, they really can't play. We need you to practice and give 100% of whatever you got. I mean, that's how you get better. I mean, there's nobody that's 100% right now. We practiced how many practices in the last whatever, and it's been 97 degrees every day. I mean, who's 100%? We hit more than we probably hit all the rest of the year in terms of days, in a row in terms of how you practice, and we try to, change that up as much as we can. So who's 100%? Nobody's 100%. You got to learn how to give 100% of whatever it is you got.
How much more comfortable is Tua with playing from under center this year, and how much do you think that could enhance your execution in the red zone?
I don't know. I think, when he's under center, he's got a lot better chance of getting the ball off in 2.5 seconds. So that's one of the things that I'm really impressed with. Look, he's a good quarterback. He makes good decisions when he's in the gun. He makes good decisions under center. I think having a combination of those two things is probably a good thing. I think we have a little more diversity in the passing game than we had in the past, which is probably a good thing. And I certainly think we have more ways to utilize the skilled players that we have, which is probably a good thing. And I think he's very comfortable with what he's doing right now, whether it's under center or in the gun. I think the key to the drill in the red zone is you got to be able to run the ball. If you can't run the ball in the red area when the field shrinks, it gets really hard to throw it down there. The windows get small. You got to get rid of the ball more quickly, make quicker decisions, and everything closes up faster. So when you can run the ball and create favorable down distances, you got a better chance to keep the defense off balance. So, and that's one of the areas that we want to improve in on both sides of the ball is red area efficiency.
We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, make sure you subscribe to ESPN Plus. We'll see you there.